inside the uterus. She had one of those, and then the lady told her, yep, you're pregnant, and by the calculations that I can do, 5 weeks. The following visit, we had a heartbeat. Now we also determine fetal position, multiple pregnancies, and of course, if you're gonna paint the whole thing blue or pink.
Oh, we're off.
It's on you though.
Look up, man. That's a good thing. Stay like that. Don't know with this kind of stuff.
If you're gonna work or baby, you have to do all
That's a good thing. Keep it that way. We won't get nobody pregnant. Now, the amniocentesis is an invasive test where, look at here, they, guided by sonography, of course, they're gonna put a needle. Whenever they put a needle inside something, we call that centesis. Thoracocentesis, abdominocentesis, and then the amniocentesis is putting the needle inside the amniotic fluid to drain fluid. Before they do the amniocentesis, they are gonna do a series of tests to see if your kid is really gonna, he has the, if you suspect something's wrong with the baby. First they do the testing. They have to do it, like for example in women 35 and over, because that's already considered a high risk pregnancy. So if they test you, you come back positive for whatever marker, okay, we're gonna do an amniocentesis. And the amniocentesis, they just get cells on the baby and they do the karyotype, which is a map of the chromosomes of the baby. Really cute example. Then you have the chorionic villus sampling. Is very similar because you can, and this goes done through a catheter that goes through the uterus and all that stuff into the baby. And it works. Now you have the alpha fetoprotein test. This we do for neural tube defect. If the levels of AFP are high, it means that your neural tube is not fully closed. Pregnancy, the corpus luteum secretes progesterone and estrogen in low levels. But then, from the 3rd month of the pregnancy on, the placenta starts producing the hormones, 300 miles an hour. And the chorion is also going to secrete the human chorionic gonadotropin. What is that for? What do we use that for?
Growing?
What do we use the HCG for? To find out what?
If it's a boy or a girl?
No. Before that.
If you're pregnant.
Exactly. That's the marker for pregnancy.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh. Exactly. And we can detect this in the urine, or we can detect it in blood. That little thing they sell at the pharmacy is based on the ELISA technique, that you're gonna look for anti-antigen of the hormone. And now it's funny the reactions people get from these tests. Like for example, or now, in this guy's case,
Yeah, just wash it out.
and you're gonna see the girlfriend texting this guy. Where are you, papi chulo? Hello? This guy is in freaking Ukraine. Oh, I signed up for the military. I'm in Iraq now, killing people. Ra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. You hear that machine gun? Buddy, play the machine gun sound. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta.
I don't remember that.
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. And he's at the bar next door.
I remember that. Check it.
And now, right here is one of the reasons why you're not supposed to drink milk from another species, especially from a cow. When you drink milk from the cow, imagine these levels multiplied by 300, because the cows are like way bigger than we are, right? So imagine that estrogen and progesterone levels all the way up here, and you're drinking that stuff with your milk. Plus, you get growth hormones in there too. And the breast cancer has been associated to ingesting a lot of milk. Now here, you're gonna produce cortisol, and this is gonna stimulate the production of cortisone. The CRH is gonna produce cortisone that is needed for the maturation of the lungs and the production of surfactant into the lungs. Now, for those of you who haven't had the pleasure, I didn't have coffee today. Haven't had the pleasure of getting pregnant. Your lungs are gonna end up almost to your head. It is true. It's a pain in the butt. So, look at the intestine. Look at the small intestine. It's all the way up here. Everything's pushed upward, because you have to leave room for the baby to grow. Now, the tendency of a lot of women is that I got pregnant, I'm gonna sit on my butt. That shouldn't be. You need to exercise. The more you exercise, the healthier the whole thing is gonna be. Now, of course, if you have issues with the implantation and the baby's all the way down there, or something else happens to you, okay, that's fine, don't exercise. But if you can exercise, you're gonna get more blood to the baby. Everything's gonna be better. Everything's gonna be healthier. So, my coffee. Now the labor. Labor is the process that spills the fetus and the uterus from the uterus and the vagina, and through labor and false labor. Something funny about this is that we had the baby shower, right? And we've been trying to have a kid for 6 years. So it was a big event when my wife got pregnant. So you familiar with TY Park in Hollywood? Anybody familiar with TY Park in Hollywood, Florida? We rented one of those things, one of the canopies. I brought my band. We started playing live music, and we invited pretty much everybody we knew. Gosh, a lot of people, like 100 people went to the baby shower. And something very funny happened. My wife started having contractions. She was having false labor. Because, we were right down the street from the hospital, and I drove her it was funny as hell, because I had to get my friends and my bandmates and everybody to get everything, pick up everything, the gifts, the equipment and everything, drop it off at my house, and then wait for us at the house. And we went to the hospital. We go to the hospital, no, you're not going to have your baby today. That was Sunday, and my daughter was born Friday of that week. It was 5 days later. And it was super, super, super easy. She woke me up like at 5:45 in the morning. I think I broke my water, okay? So I called the helpline there's a baby helpline. Hey, listen, I think she broke her water. How do I know? Because I was drinking Kool-Aid at that time. I didn't know what her water was. And, take her to the emergency room. And when we got there, you broke the water. You're gonna have your baby today. And that was we got there like around 6:30 or so, because we had breakfast and everything. Yeah, we're gonna go like hungry to a hospital. Then they're not gonna feed you at the hospital. So we ate, and then the whole party started. My mother came, my mother-in-law came. So when my daughter was born, we had a full house. Everybody was there. So We got to the hospital at 6:30. My daughter came out like around 11:50 or something like that. In the morning, it was right there. Now I have a student in my other class that she told me that she spent 17 hours in labor, and in the end they had to do a C-section.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you have 3 stages: the dilation, expulsion, and the placental stage. The placental stage is when you get rid of the placenta. That's when she started laughing. The dilation, the whole thing hurts. The whole thing hurts. The moment you start having contractions, it hurts. Now, the dilation business, if you're gonna get into the OBGYN business, they're gonna teach you to measure your fingers. You get a measuring tape, well, these fingers, your right hand or left hand, whatever you are, and you measure here, and then here, pop, and you measure. When you reach this very much, that's 8 centimeters of dilation, that's where you want to go. The other thing that's going to happen is that the vagina that is this long is going to go whap, because the baby's pushing against the vagina. So you're going to erase all that pretty much, just the erasing. And once the whole thing is dilated, then you're going to push and have your baby. The contractions are going to start. And what is telling your body to have contractions? What hormone?
Oxytocin.
The oxytocin. Negative feedback, positive feedback. And the more you contractions you have, the more oxytocin. More. Baby out, everybody's happy. At the end, once the baby comes out, that is supposed to come out with the head down, head first, and then the rest of the body. My daughter came out in 2 pushes. First push, up to here. And then second push, like a little fish. Bloop. He came out. It was funny as hell. Then the placenta comes out. That's where you do the twisting of the cord, and the placenta comes out. It takes 6 weeks of maternal reproductive organs and physiology to return to the pregnancy state. That's the puerperium, the postpartum, and then you go to your last OBGYN appointment where they tell you, yeah, you're good, or if you get postpartum depression, then you're screwed. And then you're gonna start eating your babies or something. Yeah, haven't you heard about those nasty cases of postpartum depression? People just kill the babies,
Yeah,
drown them in the bathtub. There was a lady in Texas. They made a movie about that. Oh, the blue baby or something like that. She drowned her kids. It was freaking crazy. One of the things that drives this is the fact of worthlessness. You feel that you're not gonna be enough to provide and take care of your baby. You feel like you're not. You feel overwhelmed. You feel like you're not gonna be able to do it. You know what TV show has a very good example of postpartum depression? Daredevil, the last season. I don't know if any of you watched Daredevil. Turns out that he was the daughter of the nun, and the nun pretty much gave up the kid because she had the nastiest case of postpartum depression. So they went and picked her up back again, the nun, and she went back to being a nun, and she left the kid with the father. Fully developed neuron begins to function independently. The lungs are able to exchange oxygen. This doesn't happen inside of the womb. Why? Because there's no oxygen in the womb. There's just water, the amniotic fluid. Now, this is one of my favorite graphics in the whole universe. The changes between the fetal circulation on your left and the adult circulation on the right. What is gonna trigger the changes to all these business? Wow! That thing. Because that's gonna build a pressure gradient in the cavity, in the chest cavity, that's gonna inflate the lungs. And then the lungs are gonna be, okay, give me blood, and then your lungs are gonna be filled with blood. And when that happens, you first had the foramen ovale here that communicated the right and left atria, and that's gonna close. And the way this happens, look at here. This foramen ovale is not a hole like that. It's like this. It's like 2 flaps, one over the other. Boom. And then, when you do the whack, it's gonna stay put. And it's gonna fuse. The other thing you have is the ductus arteriosus. Since you don't send blood from the left, the right ventricle to the lungs, because there's no blood coming from the body, but from the umbilical cord, and it's oxygenated. What you do is that you have this ductus arteriosus, which is a communication between the pulmonary trunk and the aorta, and only a little bit of blood actually makes it to the lungs to give the lungs some oxygen. Most of the blood is gonna go into the aorta, and then when you're born, the ductus arteriosus becomes the ligamentum arteriosus, which is a remnant. Down here, what used to be the umbilical blood vessels become ligaments that attach all this stuff to the wall of the abdomen. Okay, so we have to breastfeed the kid. Unless you want to do the child abuse thing. Don't do the child abuse thing. You have to breastfeed the kid. So, you have a couple of hormones involved here. Number one, the prolactin is the main hormone. And this prolactin thing, positive feedback, negative feedback. Positive. The more you breastfeed the kid, the more. And then the oxytocin is gonna also help here. The fact the baby is attached to the boob is gonna make you produce oxytocin. And what is the good thing about oxytocin at this point? What is it gonna do to you ladies? Make the uterus go back to the original size before you got pregnant. So it's gonna make you look pretty and skinnier faster.
Until when do you have to like breastfeed them?
We'll talk about that right now. I think you know. I was gonna tell you that.
I don't know.
Now, unfortunately, we don't have any mothers here to tell us their story, but this is gonna vary. In our case, we just stopped breastfeeding whenever the Anais said, "I'm done," which she did like around 1 year and 2 months or so, or 3 months. One day she just said, "Okay, I'm good," and she didn't breastfeed anymore. A lot of women are gonna tell you, "Well, I was breastfeeding and I was only able to do it for 3 months because then I wouldn't produce more milk," or "I only lasted the first 2 months." Listen, everything in the world is against the breastfeeding business. You know, I don't know if you know that if you go to a public place here and you take out your boob to breastfeed a kid, people get offended. It's freaking retarded, you know? But they go on porn and watch people showing their boobs. I don't get it. Now, you gotta go back to work. Guess what? Oh, I have the pump, I'm gonna pump myself. It doesn't work the same because the pump doesn't cry. I need the cry. And you need the baby. So you gotta go back to work. Number 2, what's another one? The baby bottle. Okay, you're gonna go back to work and you're gonna give the husband here, a puppy. I'm going to work, there's a milk, breastfeed the kid. I'm out of here. Or I'm going out with my girl, my BBF. What is it, BFF? Going to the BB&T. My BFF going to the mall or whatever. And now the baby's gonna have the baby bottle. So the baby's gonna be like, now you're giving the breast. Man, this is too difficult. I want the bottle. You know? Imagine, if I ask Voltaire, you know what? Here, go to I-75 and bring me a flower. You have 2 options. You can either walk or drive my car. What are you gonna do? Drive the car, of course. Well, the babies do the same thing because they're not retards. They're super smart, you know? And one thing I forgot to mention this morning, I'm gonna tell you now. listen, you don't have to wait till the baby cries. They're so freaking smart that they'll tell you. The last thing they have to do is to actually tell you, mommy, feed me. But they go like, or if you don't listen to any of those cues, then he'll go berserk, or she'll go berserk. Yeah, but you have to learn to read your baby. Now, this is what happens in this fucked up country. Because, the doctors are in cahoots with the pharmaceutical companies. You have this woman, Miss Murray, she just had her baby. What are you going to name the baby? Give me a good name.
Virgil.
Virgil. Okay, that's a boy. What about a little girl?
Rowan.
What?
Rowan.
That's a cute name too. Okay, so let's say that you had Virgil. Hi, little Virgil. Oh, and what are you doing with the baby? Are you breastfeeding or formula? Oh, I'm doing the breastfeeding like a good mom. No abusing my child. Great. Wait a second, I didn't ask you for. Oops, I need to include one more question on the exam. I'm looking at the model over there. No, don't say, don't. I'm not gonna change anything, it's too late. I'm tired. Now, oh, you're only breastfeeding? Well, the babies, they don't get the proper vitamins and proteins and vitamins and minerals on the breast milk, so you should give them a supplement of vitamins. The only thing you have to give your baby is breast milk. Don't even give them water. It's just the breast milk. Now, oh, I ran out of breast milk. No, you don't run out of breast milk. If you keep this loop of positive feedback going, it's gonna last forever. I had a classmate in medical school that she told us, she confessed in front of us that she was breastfed until she was 5.
What?
Yeah. What? Yeah. Now, the pump business. You get the pump. Let's say that your husband is as good as my ex-wife's husband. The guy was really good. Well, he is a really good husband till to this day because he pays his child support on time. So, I got the woman a nice breast pump. So here, the breast pump. The breast pump works better after 2 months. If you try doing it before the 2 months, you're gonna throw the whole thing out of whack. You have to do it after 2 months of only breastfeeding. And breastfeeding only. And then, after you start pumping, you still need the baby to stimulate you to produce prolactin to more and more and more and more and more. Of course, once you get this rhythm going, you're gonna produce gallons of this thing, and then you can go to the mall with Aggie and Abby and buy everything at the mall. Because since you've been breastfeeding, you're back to your old self. Hi. So you go to Victoria's Secret so you can make another baby. Isn't that what the Victoria's Secret thing is for? To make babies? Are you planning on having babies? You have a boyfriend now? No. Well, that's right. You told me you don't have a boyfriend. That's fine. Finish your school. Then you get a boyfriend and get serious. The other interesting thing is that breastfeeding leads to a reduction in several diseases. Of course, the immune system of the baby is going to be stronger. You pass a lot of antibodies to the babies through the placenta. But then you finish passing antibodies to the babies through the breast milk. They haven't figured out how to make antibodies, the formula companies. They still haven't gotten that right. No, they haven't got it. They're never going to get it. Because there's no way to get it. And what are you passing to the baby? IgA. How long are you going to pass these? The baby needs this in the first few months of life because he's not producing his IgA. So you're giving him IgA. So it's good protection. What's another good thing? You get to bond with your baby and play with your baby and look at all the stupid things that babies do. It's fun. You're funny as hell. And then, if you're lucky as I am, one day the baby's going to poop on daddy. Daddy's going to go change a diaper and the baby's going to go. brah, it's gonna be poop all over the place. You're fine, sure, why not? And the moment you get rid of the breast milk and start giving them formula, the whole thing goes out of whack. My ex-wife, she ended up in the hospital because she got too weak for breastfeeding so much. And she kind of like passed out or at work, and the people from work, they freaked out and they sent her to the hospital. They did a CT scan, I think it was at the hospital, and they gave her a contrast. Well, guess what? Oh, you cannot breastfeed your kid for like 3 days or so. So we got formula. The worst case of constipation ever because of the formula. I'm talking about getting a freaking thermometer, sticking the thermometer inside my daughter's butt and trying to get the poop out of the way. It was horrible, you know? So yeah, say no to formula. The inheritance business. Okay, this I'm gonna cover super quick. You have 23 pairs of chromosomes. You get 23 from mommy, 23 from daddy. And based on these chromosomes, you're gonna get the good things and the bad things from mommy and daddy. That's how it is, no way around that. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you something super important about breastfeeding. What is it that you have to drink a lot to produce a lot of milk? Water. Don't go like a retard Dominican I met when I was working at Language Line as an interpreter. That she said, well, I have to drink lactose-free milk so my baby doesn't get lactose. No, man, it doesn't work that way. You don't have to drink milk, you have to drink a lot of water because the baby's gonna drain the water out of your life and you need the water to make the breast milk. Now, you know they did a study in Cuba among the experts, meaning children. They actually did a survey among a bunch of children. What would they prefer, formula or breast milk? And they all preferred the breast milk. And they asked them why. They said, well, because it's already warm, it's already sweet, and it's readily available. You don't have to buy it. Smart.
Sure who said that?
Yeah, for real. They did a survey like that. Now, the gene business. We play with the Punnett square. The Punnett square is a very simplistic way of figuring out stuff. But every now and then we get it right with the Punnett square. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of the Punnett square that we use. Number one, the sex. Who determines the sex? Mommy or daddy?
Dad.
Dad, the loser. Son. So, we have the mother up here and the father down here. Now, you don't see from there, do you? Okay. Now, why do I put 2 in here? Huh?
Mom's 2x or 2x.
Yes and no. Why 2? Because you don't know which egg is gonna get pregnant. If it's this egg, or if it's gonna be this sperm or this sperm. Remember, each gamete only has one of these, not both. It's gonna have either one, these eggs or these eggs, or these eggs or these eggs, Y, the sperm. And that's why you have to put the 2. Because you're guessing, it's a guessing game. So, what is that telling me?
It's a 50-50 shot.
So, of what?
Having a boy or a girl.
When?
When you poop. I don't know, when it comes out.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. Whenever, for every live birth this couple has, there's a 50% probability to get a boy, 50% probability to get a girl. That's the way it works. Now, it's gotten a little bit more complicated like that than this, but still it applies. Now, you have these 2 terms in the business of genetics, the phenotype and the genotype. The genotype is when you have the gene for that particular trait of disease or disease. And the phenotype is when you have the trait or the disease and you can see it, or you can see it on disease. So, I'll give you the example of the blue eyes of your papi chulo looking professor. Right? I have blue eyes. My ex-wife has brown eyes. My daughter has my same exact eyes. What happened? My ex-wife, her mother, what would I call this woman now? My ex-mother-in-law? Something like that. They all have. She's a nice lady. She has green eyes, just like my mom. Now, my ex-wife, she got the genotype. She got the gene from her mom. But since her father has brown eyes, the brown eyes is the dominant gene. So she had the phenotype for green eyes and the phenotype, the genotype for blue eyes, green eyes, and the genotype for brown eyes. And since the brown eyes is the dominant, this guy canceled this one out. So she ended up with brown eyes. Now, along comes Papi Chulo with blue eyes. I have the phenotype and the genotype because I have. So we had sex, we make a baby, but she got randomly the egg that got fertilized was the egg that had the phenotype for the blue eyes. The genotype, I'm sorry. And then my daughter ended up with the genotype and the phenotype. And the same exact thing happened with my daddy and my mommy. My mother has green eyes. My father, brown eyes. But then somebody along the genetic line in my father's family had green eyes. And my father had a genotype somewhere hidden somewhere in one of his genes. And then when he starts messing around with the mother, then ta-da, Papi Chulito. Now, we talked about these traits and diseases as dominant or recessive, and we always represent the dominant in the capital letter and the recessive in the lowercase. So, let me give you a couple of good examples. The number one autosomic dominant